What's going on, Broncos fans? We got a light show today. We're going to check out some cut candidates for the Broncos. I'll give you a quick tease right now. They don't have many cut candidates, but we'll take a look and see if, hey, GM George Paton was like, I want to cut back, I want to save some money. Well, here are three names that could help you do so. Before we look at those three names, I think it's important to at least check out who the biggest cap hit parties are. So let's check out the 10 biggest cap hitters on this team. Garett Bolles is making the most amount in terms of just the cap hit for 2022, bringing in a big whopping $21 million. Simmons, who got that extension, following him just shy of 19. Chubb in the final deal of his rookie contract, coming in just shy of $14 million. Sutton got extended this past season. He comes in just north of $13 million. And then Ronald Darby in fifth at just under $13 million. Then we move to the back half of the top 10 here. You got Shelby Harris coming in just under $11 million. Also a recent contract extension guy like Tim Patrick, who's making under $10 million. Glasgow got the bag a couple seasons ago from Detroit. He's going to make over $6 million. Surtain on his rookie deal. When you're drafted 9th overall, you get to drive a nice car. He comes in over $4.5 million. And Mike Purcell, who comes in just over $4 million. I'll give you my three cut candidates in just a moment, but who would you like to see cut? I don't know if you've got a vendetta against someone, but I know myself that sometimes you blame a certain loss on a certain player, and maybe you want to see that player leave your team. So let me know who you'd like to see get cut. Time to be a little morbid here. Time to take away the house from someone living at Mile High. That was really mean of me. Okay, there really aren't many cut candidates here for the Broncos. It just doesn't financially make sense. Those 10 guys we just looked at, if you were to cut any of them, majority of them you'd actually end up owing more money, because the way the contracts are set up is if you haven't run through all that guaranteed money they signed on when they inked their name on a contract, well, you still got to pay them that money, and that's called dead cap. And so if your dead cap is bigger than your cap savings, it makes zero sense to cut that guy unless, I don't know, you caught him having an affair with your wife. But let's look at three cut candidates for the Broncos. Mike Boone is a name that makes sense, all right? Third string, fourth string, depending on how you call it, running back, who was sitting behind Gordon and Williams last year. If you remember, he had a nice training camp, if we can go all the way back in time to that. Hurt his quad in that joint practice with the Vikings, and then never really got back on track. But let's look at Boone's contract here. 2022, he's going to make a $2 million cap hit for the Broncos. If Denver was to move on from him, they save $1.2 million. That's an $800,000 dead cap. So like I said, that's taking your cap hit minus the savings, and then you got the dead cap, and so that's what you still owe him, even if he's not on the roster. But you could save $1.2 million, and that's a good amount of savings for a guy who, I'm sorry, Boone, if you're watching this, but you haven't done much in your career. You go back to his first 3 years in Minnesota, and he was behind Dalvin Cook in a bit of a crowded running back room with Alexander Madison. I think Jerick McKinnon was still there. Maybe not. Maybe he was in San Francisco by 2018. But anyway, he's never really broken through. In 2020, had a decent year for the Vikings as a third-string guy, and I think Peyton looked at that and go, okay, we'll give you some decent money to be our third-string running back. But I like the idea of saving $1.2 million for a guy that produced 47 yards for you last year. I know he was injured, but still, this is the NFL. The best ability is availability. Guys, I want to appreciate everyone that subscribed lately, because we just crossed our last goal, which was 5,900 subscribers, but we're not stopping there. We are on the road to 6,000 subscribers. I want to be the #1 YouTube channel covering the Broncos out there. My mom tells me it, but that's not enough to keep me not awake at night. So go ahead, hit that big red button, subscribe if you have not already. And as always, if you have, we appreciate you being a part of the channel and being a loyal watcher, commenter, liker, whatever you do, or my favorite, which is all the above. Next up for cut candidates, it is DaeSean Hamilton, 4th-round draft pick a couple seasons ago out of Penn State, and high aspirations for the guy. He was a player that, if you remember during the draft, and this is true for this draft, there's always players that when they slip further and further, you're like, I want my team to get him, right? I want the Broncos to draft him because I think he's going to be the real deal. I kind of felt that way about DaeSean Hamilton. Hasn't really worked out in his career. He has played a handful of seasons now for Denver. Started going back to his rookie year when he played, rookie year was in 2019, 2018. So 4 seasons so far under his belt for Hamilton, and we just have not seen the growth we would have liked to have seen. Injuries played a factor this past season in 2021 for Hamilton, but he's also an extremely crowded wide receiver room for the Broncos, where they've got people like Jerry Jeudy, Tim Patrick, Courtland Sutton, and then don't forget about KJ Hamler, by the way, when he's going. So we've got the stats here in his career, and those just aren't the kind of stats that match what the cap number is for Hamilton. And we'll show you that in a moment. But at the end of the day, this is a business, and Peyton's going to try and squeeze as much juice out of these guys as he can. And if someone's making a lot of money that's not producing on the field, that's going to be an easy decision. Before we get to the rest of Hamilton's case, I want to tell you guys about a great deal going on at Fanatics. St. Patrick's Day, less than 2 weeks away. It's March 17th, March 16th? Well, March 17th. And you can get awesome Broncos gear in green so you don't get pinched. And you get to do it in style, wearing a little bit of the repping of the Denver Broncos logo. So head on over to chatsports.com/Broncos green. Put that link in, and then you get this great deal. It's on sale. I've got all that information in the comments and the description of today's video. Back to DaeSean Hamilton, though. Like I said, you can save a lot of money. If the Broncos move on from him, they're going to save $2.1 million, and they owe him nothing. They've already paid him all of his guaranteed money. To me, this is a no-brainer. It's just there's so much talent already at the wide receiver position for the Broncos. Think about it. I don't know who's going to have room like on the bus kind of deal when KJ Hamler comes back. You know what I mean? Where it's like, where's everyone going to fit? We've got Jeudy, Sutton, Patrick, Hamler. And then we're probably going to draft someone too. And then we've got just loads of talent elsewhere as well. So I think saving $2.1 million when you've already got tons of talent at that spot makes a lot of sense to me. My third and final cap cut candidate is Sam Martin, the punter. That's right. We are going there today, folks. We are talking about punters, because you know what? When the Broncos don't have many cap cut candidates out there, we've got to reach deep. And that gets us to Sam Martin. And then you think about what the special teams unit did last year under Tom McMahon. It was a disaster. It made the movie Jack and Jill look good. That's how bad it was on special teams for the Broncos. And I'm not saying Sam Martin's to blame. McManus had some untimely kicks, and then you had just poor coverage on punt and kickoff, and then you never had much of a spark on kick return and punt returns. I'm not saying Martin's to blame for all this, but when you think of special teams, you think of three guys usually: the punter, the kicker, and the holder. And unfortunately for Sam Martin, when you're making $2.7 million this upcoming season as a cap hit, and the team can save just over $2.2 million by cutting your tail, and only have to lose $483,000, that's something they're going to take a hard look in the mirror at, and then maybe think, you know what, we can save just over $2 million, and we can draft a punter. We have to draft one. Actually, that punter out of San Diego State, Matt Orizia, he's a freaking baller. But we could also just sign someone super cheap and put that $2.2 million elsewhere that we'd rather have it spent this free agency. All right, one last time, let's take a look at the three cut candidates for the Broncos. If you cut them all, you can save just over $5.5 million in savings. The Broncos, maybe if they make a big push for Aaron Rodgers and they want to also get Devontae Adams in a tag and trade, they're going to need every penny they can get. And $5.5 million may not sound like a ton in the NFL grand scheme of things, but when you're looking at getting Aaron Rodgers or Devontae Adams or trying to bring back Von Miller, $5.5 million, that can go a long way. Wrap up the video. If you guys have watched this far into it, I think I'm doing something right, so appreciate everyone that's watched this far. Go ahead and name a random, and I mean random. You can't say Von Miller. That's too easy. Name a random Broncos player down below. And I'm going to give you a shout-out on a future Broncos breakdown. And that way, you guys can get your name on the show, be a part of the show. My producer's in my ear right now saying Monte Ball. But that's pretty random. Let's see who can beat that. Challenges out there. Who can get more random than Monte Ball? All right, that's going to do it for us here. We will catch you guys later with the latest Broncos news and rumors.